Now, let's take a look at the Fed, okay? This is the balance sheet of the Fed. And just think of it as this. You see this over here? These are trillions of dollars, okay? That's how much the Fed has put into the economy. And, of course, down here is your timeline, 2008, 09, 10, 11, 12. Now, looky, looky, looky. This was the first QE at the end of 2008. All right, and I think, actually, I will argue that he did the right thing that time. Here's the second QA, which came in 2010 and ended in the middle of 2011. I think that was a big mistake. It did more harm to the economy. You know why? The dollar collapsed. Commodity prices, including food and gasoline and energy, went sky high and stopped consumer spending, and everybody blew out. All right, now, the Fed stayed away from it for quite a while. And now they're going back to old habits right there. This is a $3 trillion, let me just put this right here. This is a $3 trillion Fed balance sheet, okay? It used to be about $800 billion. $3 trillion from $800 billion. You just think about that, folks. This is real money that the Fed prints. And you know what? If they keep putting in nearly $500 billion a year, that means every couple of years they put in another trillion. So they'll go to $4 trillion, and then they'll go to $5 trillion. And at the end of the day, when the Fed goes bankrupt, you, the taxpayers, are going to be behind it, and they may go on for years. That's what Bernanke basically said today. I think it's completely nuts. I've never seen anything like it, and I started my career at the New York Fed in the early 1970s, and I've been a Fed watcher ever since. Anyway, for nearly 4 years, the Fed pump priming has failed to ignite the worst recovery in modern times, going back to 1947. Let me just go back again, okay? All this stuff from $800 billion to $1 trillion, all of that stimulus, and God knows how high it's going to be after that, has failed to ignite a recovery, which is the worst in modern times, roughly 2%, going all the way back to 1947. So, if it was going to work, why hasn't it worked? Let me ask, is that the right question, Kevin Brady, Vice Chairman of the Joint Economic Committee, Republican House member from Texas? I want to know, if it was going to work, why the hell hasn't it worked already?
Going to work, and I think most economists agree with what you just said. One, this is really a stinging rebuke of President Obama's failure to lead in this economy. Here we are, more than 3 years after the recession ended, and the Fed still feels obliged to try to stimulate the economy. Secondly, lower interest rates. Look, they're at a 50-year low already. The Fed may well have said it should be extended to 30-15 for all that it matters in the market. And there's plenty of liquidity, both capital bank, excess reserves at the Fed, the money that businesses want to invest in because of uncertainty can't invest. This is not going to get the economy going. And finally, I really am worried about both the short-term uncertainty and the long-term price inflationary spiral that this, I think, helps increase.
No limits to the Fed money-creating power. All right, now I want to ask my friend standing to your right, Brad Sherman, Democratic House member from California. Now, Brad, why is the Fed doing this purposely? Why are they doing this purposely to manipulate the election for Barack Obama? Isn't that what's really going on, Brad Sherman? The Fed is putting money in to help the re-election of Obama, or am I too cynical?
You're way too cynical. Remember, Bernanke was originally a Republican nominee. I don't think he's become part of the Democratic Party. Second, I don't think we should be focusing on the politics and trying to score political points. The question is, what can we do to get this economy going again? And if you want to say, well, the economy's bad, so everything that America's ever done must have been bad, I think that's absurd. The fact is, our country is good. Many of the things we've done are good, and this is something that can move us in the right direction.
Brad,
even
I
the
think
critics.
the country is great. You know I like to be an optimist. I think the country is great. But I think we are hurting the country by making all these wacko policies. What we should be doing right now, Kevin Brady, we should be lowering tax rates, extending the Bush tax cuts to remove all that business and investor uncertainty. We should be rolling back regulations. We should be able to let the economy breathe some more. Money's not the problem. How can money be the problem when there's $3 trillion of it outstanding? It's fiscal
Larry,
policy,
can a Democrat get a word in here edgewise? I mean, you've got you're pontificating for the Republicans. He's pontificating for the Republicans.
Let me just say, Larry Kudlow's taken me to the woodshed plenty of times, so I think you've been very fair. But you're on mark here. The real roadblocks, the obsession with higher taxes coming from, unfortunately, the White House and Congress, the health care and the president's new law, all the new red tape, the fiscal cliff. Those are the roadblocks. Those are the 18-wheelers jackknifed across this economy. Until we remove them, we're not going to see the growth that we deserve.
All right, I must give Brad Sherman the last word, and I do so willingly and gratefully. Go ahead, Brad.
This isn't the time to beat up on Democrats. This isn't the time just to dust off all the anti-Obama talking points. The question is, in a bad economy, is this a step forward? The critics of this program will still say it's going to reduce our unemployment rate by 1/4 point or better. It will increase our economic growth rate by 1/4 point or better. That's hundreds of thousands of people who can come home from a day's work and say, I'm able to support my family. And when did that become a bad thing?
Do you know
because somebody could score some political points?
Those are meager gains over 2 years or more. Again, a drop in the bucket. We have 24 million Americans who can't find a job.
All I want to say is to come out. You've both been great starts. I just want to say this. At the Jackson Hole conference, Bernanke said the Fed has helped create 2 million new jobs. Okay? That's after they put in $2 trillion in the economy. So that comes to what? Do the math. $2 trillion into the economy to create 2 million jobs. That's $1 million per job. Not a very good cost-benefit ratio if it ever worked at all, which it doesn't. But many thanks to House members Brad Sherman and Kevin Brady. $1 million a job from the Fed. Nice going, boys.